So it is 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have Djibouti reject any unilateral taxations of Bab el-Mandeb Strait. The Minister for Communication is on fact findings and solidarity missions to support those affected by the disasters in the Dakhel. For the international scene, Israeli airstrikes central Gaza also hit by military escalations. Welcome to our newsroom. Faced with any initiative that could jeopardize freedoms of navigation in one of the world's major maritime corridors, the Republic of Djibouti reaffirms its commitment to respecting international law and preserving stability in the Red Sea. The Republic of Djibouti reaffirms its unwavering commitment to freedom of navigation as an international legal regime applicable to a strait used for international shipping in accordance with the law of the sea. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait is a strategic maritime route of global importance shared between the African and Asian shores. Any attempt to impose from only one shore a unilateral systems of toll or taxes on ships in transit would be contrary to international law. Such a measure would infringe upon the sovereign rights of the littoral states and jeopardize the security of a route essential to international trade and global energy supplies. As a directly affected coastal state, the Republic of Djibouti considers such as an initiative to be a unilateral challenge to the international status of the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb and unacceptable escalations in the regions. It reserves the right to use all appropriate diplomatic, legal, and security means alone and in accordance with its regional international partners to preserve its sovereign rights, guarantee freedoms of navigation, and contribute to the stability of the Red Sea. Furthermore, the Republic of Djibouti calls upon the international community, relevant organizations, and states using the strait to ensure respect for international law so that Bab el-Mandeb Strait remains a safe maritime passage open to all and protected from any exploitation for the benefit of special interests. Following this instance on strategic international issues, a message of solidarity was issued. Djibouti expressed its support for Japan, which was struck by a powerful earthquake. The Republic of Djibouti has expressed its solidarity with Japan following the devastating earthquake that struck the southwest of the archipelago, causing loss of life and significant material damage. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, sent a message of condolence to the Japanese Prime Minister Ms. Sanae Takaishi following the magnitude 7.1 earthquake that struck southwest Japan on Tuesday, which claimed approximately 15 lives, left many injured, and caused extensive material damage. The people and government of Djibouti join me in expressing their compassion and solidarity with our friends, the Japanese nation, in this painful ordeal, the head of state wrote in his telegrams of condolence. President Guelleh also expressed his hope that the state of Japan will quickly overcome the consequences of this tragedy, while offering his deepest condolence to the government and peoples of Japan, as well as to the families, relatives, and friends of the victims. In addition to its heavy human toll, the earthquake caused significant material damage, notably affecting buildings, bridges, and power lines, several commercial infrastructure. Following this message of solidarity with the Japanese people, Japanese authorities are continuing rescue operations in the disaster areas where the death toll continues to rise. Rescue operations are continuing in the southwestern Japan after the powerful earthquake that struck Kumamoto prefecture. According to Japanese authorities, the death toll has now risen to 25, with 86 injured, while rescuers are still searching for possible survivors under the rubble. The magnitude 7.1 earthquake caused the collapse of several buildings and significant damage to infrastructure. The Aeon Mall in Kashima was particularly badly damaged after an explosion attributed to a gas leak. Nearly 19,000 households remain without power, and more than 100,000 people have been evacuated to shelters. The Japanese government has deployed the self-defense forces and specialized teams to expedite rescue and recovery operations. Severe weather in Mulud, the Minister of Communication is on a mission to assess and provide solidarity to affected populations. As part of the government mobilization itself following the severe weather that struck the town of Mulud in the Dakhel region, the Minister of Communication responsible for Post and Telecommunication, Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa Halem, visited Mulud this morning to assess the extent of the damages, identify the priority needs and of the affected populations, and coordinate the assistance effort undertaken by the state. The minister was accompanied by the prefect of the Dakhel region, Mr. Hassan Abdi Roble, the sub-prefect of Mulud Administrative Authority, the acting president of the regional councils, and head of the technical services. Through this file visit, the government's delegation scoured the various neighborhoods of Mulud to personally observe the significant destructions caused by the severe weather. Discussions with residents allowed the minister to hear the grievances of the affected families and reaffirm the government's solidarity in the face of this ordeal. Originally from the Dakhel region, Minister Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa Halem visited the affected families and toured numerous homes that were destroyed or severely damaged. The delegation also inspected the Mulud gardens, among the most productive in the country, which were also severely impacted by torrential rains and strong winds. Uprooted date palms, damaged power lines, and significant material damage attested to the scale of these natural disasters. On the ground, relief and assistance operations are continuing actively. Teams from EDD are mobilized to restore powers, which has already been restored to a large part of the area. For their part, the Djiboutian armed forces are continuing their tireless effort to deliver drinking water to the affected populations. During this visit, several affected families expressed their gratitude for the swift response of the authorities and the assistance provided by the government since the very beginning of the disasters. Following his assessment towers of the area, the Minister of Communication in charge of Post and Telecommunication, Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa Halem, chaired a working meeting with the regional authorities and administrative officials, technical services, as well as elders and prominent figures from the Mulud sub-prefecture. This meeting provided an opportunity to conduct a detailed assessment of the consequences of the severe weather, identify the most urgent needs of the affected populations, and strengthen coordination between the various state services to ensure a rapid, effective, and appropriate response to the scale of disasters. Addressing the participants, the minister reassured the Addressing the participant, the minister assured the residents of Mulud of the government's commitment to continue relief and assistance operations. He reaffirmed that in accordance with the directives of the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, the state will spare no effort to assist the affected families, restore damaged infrastructure, and support the population until a full return to normalcy. The minister also commended the commitment of the local authorities, the Djiboutian armed forces, the rescue teams, the technical services, and those mobilized since the very beginning of these natural disasters. Finally, at the meetings, after the meetings, Mr. Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa Halem spoke, imploring God to grant paradise to the two people who died in the severe weather. He added that the people of Mulud were shocked by the sudden loss of their brothers, the Dakhel police captains, who had been at the forefront of relief effort but tragically died at the end of the day. The minister expressed his sorrow. The minister Halem also commended the smooth progress of the support operations for the families of the victims. We have seen all the damage caused by the severe weather. The government is doing its best to support the families, but we as residents of Dakhel must show solidarity and support the population, the minister stated. At the national level, the authorities are continuing their consultations with the economic stakeholders to provide appropriate response to concern related to rising prices and maintaining purchasing powers faced with the rising cost of living. The dialogue between public authorities and the economic actors is ongoing. With this in mind, the Minister of Trade and Tourism, Orbis Helafa Orbis, convened that the main economic operators affected by the recent price increases of certain essential goods. This consultation meeting brought together mineral waters producer representatives of butchers associations and bakery managers. The objective was to assess the effects of inflation on the national market and to identify concrete solutions to control prices while preserving consumers' purchasing power. During the discussions, the butchers' representatives raised the difficulties they face, particularly the increased cost of importing livestock and the soaring prices charged by some intermediaries when purchasing herd. In response, the minister assured them that this concern would be examined. The military cooperation between Djibouti and France continues to strengthen through gestures of mutual recognition and a long-standing partnership. In this context, the Hassan Bassouma Officers Hotel hosted a ceremony on July 29, 2026 to award decorations for 4 members of the French forces stationed in Djibouti on the occasions of the end of their missions in the countries. The ceremony, presided over by the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, who presented the following awards. Air Division General Sébastien de la Valette was promoted to the rank of Commanders of the National Order of June 27. Colonel Maximilien Debrun received the insignia of Officers of the National Order of June 27. Commander Gerard Ibrahim was also promoted to the rank of Officers of the National Orders of June 27. Warrant Officers Yolande Richard was decorated with the insignia of the Knight of the National Orders of June 27. These honorary distinctions recognize their commitment, professionalism, and contribution to strengthen military cooperation and developing friendly relations between Djiboutian armed forces and the French forces stationed in Djibouti. The ceremony took place in the presence of several high-ranking officials and officers of the Djiboutian National Army. It concluded in a convivial atmosphere, demonstrating the strength and excellences of the cooperative ties between the two armies. Investing in youth means preparing the skills of tomorrow. It is in this spirit that the international organizations of La Francophonie organized an intensive training programs in Djibouti aimed at strengthening the employability and creativity of young of La Francophonie through its regional Francophone Center for Africa concluded a 5-day training programs on 21st century skills on Thursday, July 30 in Djibouti, organized from July 26 to 30 in partnership with the Djibouti Youth Movement One and Indivisible and the Djiboutian Associations for Digital Education and Innovation, ADENI. This initiative, entitled French A Driver of Employability, Civic Engagement, and Creativity, brought together 53 young people, including 52 Djiboutians from the capitals and the interior regions, as well as one participant from Rwanda. 52 Djiboutians from the capitals and the interior regions. During this intensive 40-hour training programs, participants strengthened their skills in professional French communication, office skills, digital tools, job search techniques, interview preparations, public speaking, and personal development. The closing ceremony featured the screening of a 10 animated film created by young people, showcasing their talent, creativity, and commitment to environmental protection.
Dans la création d'un CV, la programme.
One of the program's key innovative was the Guardians of the Planet's stop-motion missions Djiboutian workshop led by filmmakers Christopher Tourner. In working in teams, the young participants created 10 short and animated films designated to raise children's awareness and environmental protection and waste reduction, combining creativity, teamwork, and civic engagement. On on this occasion, Dr. René Yotova, Director of French Language Teaching and Learning at the International Organizations of la Francophonie, and head of CREFA, Regional Center for French Language Training, emphasized that soft skills are now a crucial drivers of professional success. She stressed that curiosity, teamwork, creativity, and initiative are now highly valued as technical skills. At the end of the training, the participants leave with immediately applicable skills, including a finalized CV and cover letter experience in a mock job interview, improved digital literacy, and a certificate of participation. The fire damages 7 homes in the District 3 of Bulaus municipality. A major fire broke out Thursday afternoon in the District 3 of Bulaus, quickly mobilizing the civil protection teams. Thanks to the firefighters' responsiveness and professionalism, the blaze was brought under control relatively quickly, preventing it from spreading to neighboring homes and limiting the extent of damages. According to an initial preliminary assessment, 9 homes were damaged by the flames. At this stage, no official reports regarding potential casualties has been released by the relevant authorities. A detailed assessment of the material damage is currently underway to determine the exact extent of the losses suffered by the affected families. As soon as the alarm was raised, the administrative authorities and emergency services went to the scene to oversee the intervention's operation, coordinate rescue effort, and provide support to the affected families. Among the officials present were the sub-prefect of the first district, Suad Elaye, the head of the social service department, Taha Ali Taha, the acting director general of the civil protection, Colonel Abdul Qadir Abezid Musa, who closely monitored the operations and ensured that those affected received assistance. The civil protection teams remained mobilized until the fire was completely extinguished to prevent any risks. For the regional scene, Ethiopia inaugurated a laboratory dedicated to artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. Ethiopia is accelerating its digital transformations with the opening of a cutting-edge laboratory dedicated to strategic technologies located within the Defense University. This new center is designated to develop national expertise in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and technological research supported by the United Arab Emirates. This project is part of the Ethiopian government's strategy to strengthen digital sovereignty, stimulate innovations, and train a new generations of experts. The authorities believe that this infrastructure will contribute to supporting the country's modernizations and better protecting its strategic infrastructure and in a constantly evolving digital environment. For the international scene, faced with the persistent insecurity, the Central African Republic, the United Nations Security Council has decided to maintain pressures on armed groups. The United Nations Security Council adopted a resolution extending the sanctions regime against the Central African Republic, concluding that armed groups continues to pose a threat to international peace and security. Meeting to review the security situation in the countries, the council stressed that the activities of this group are hindering peace efforts, endangering civilians, and impeding the restoration of state authorities. The council members reaffirmed the need to maintain sanctions to reduce the operational capabilities of armed groups while continuing their support for the Central African authorities. Their stabilization effort, the measures include in particular the freezing of access, travel bans, targeting sanctioned individuals and entities. The Israeli army intensifies its airstrikes in central Gaza. The Israeli offensive is expanding into the central Gaza Strip, where the bombardment have intensified significantly in recent hours. According to information gathered on the ground, several areas in the center of the enclave were targeted by the new airstrikes, accompanied by loud explosions and large plumes of smoke. This development marks an expansion of Israeli military operations into the areas that had previously been relatively less affected by the bombing. No definitive figures on casualties. FIFA World Cup proposal to open to private investors sparks controversy. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has reignited the debate on the future of global football governance with an ambitious private financing plan. Infantino has set September 19th as the deadline for the 211 members associations to vote on proposals to open the management of the World Cup to private investors. The plan envisions the creation of a subsidiaries valued of at 20 billion US dollar, tasked by administering FIFA's major competitions. 20% of the capitals would be open to private investors, with the announced support of Thrive Capital's Joshua Cash Investment Funds, presented by the FIFA as an opportunity to strengthen resources dedicated to the development of global football. This initiative has sparked fierce opposition. FIFA believes that the World Cup is an integral part of global football's heritage and cannot be privatized. Several European federations are considering coordinating their response, while the possibility of a boycott of FIFA competitions is once again being raised. And this is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.